Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be showing you Nailpollies' new movie night collection. This little 4-piece quad is obviously inspired by some movie snacks and I have some thoughts on them, so as always I will save more of those for the end after some comparisons. For now, let me just show you the swatches. The first polish we have is your one in a melon, and this one is described as a dainty watermelon pink that's inspired by a sour watermelon gummy snack, which you can see is the cap. No surprise, this one is my favorite from the collection. It's just a cute, sparkly, dainty pink, very modest, very demure. I would say this one has a little bit of a crelly kind of formula. You can see on the first coat, it definitely is sheer, but it does have a lot of that shimmer. It's just not super even on one coat. I guess if you have shorter nails and you don't mind a sheer look, you could wear this in one coat for that subtle wash of color, but I think this builds up really beautifully in two coats as seen here. The base just has a little bit more pigmentation, but you can still definitely see some nail line. I think it does look even enough that it's passable on two coats, or you could go in with a third coat just to increase the coverage a little bit more. Not that it's gonna be 100% opaque, because again, this is a little bit of a crelly kind of finish, but you definitely don't see as much nail line as with maybe other crellies or other sheer shimmers. Next up we have I See What You Did There, and this one is obviously inspired by a blue raspberry icy, which is the little cap here, and the polish itself is a very icy baby blue with a really strong shimmer particle. So even though this is described as a baby blue, it really does have a very icy or frosted silvery kind of look to it. I think on camera especially, it's just getting a little bit washed out where it just looks more white or silvery. You're kind of losing that little hint of blue that it has, but it is also incredibly delicate too. The formula on this one was generally really nice, very even, smooth to apply, just a little bit sheer. I would say more sheer than the previous shade, which had a slightly more pigmented, crelly kind of base, but it does also build up really beautifully when you do 3 coats especially. You are just going to see a tiny bit more nail line, I think, than with the last shade, but the 3 coats also really does help intensify that baby blue color. Next up we have What's Poppin', which is obviously the popcorn inspired polish, a must for this movie night collection. And I love popcorn, so I was excited for this shade, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. Even though it's just described as a yellow shimmer, technically the shimmer in this is green and the base color is yellow, and I think it's that green shimmer that just kind of throws it off a little bit for me. I almost just wish it was white or something. The shimmer does shift to this pinky purple color though in more indirect lighting, which you'll see towards the end. And the formula on this one was a little bit more on the pearlescent side too. So even though it is a shimmer similar to the previous 2 polishes, you can see it very much has a different effect where the shimmer particle is much more finely milled, densely packed. It almost just looks like a sheen, and there are some slight brush strokes, so you want to be careful with your application for this shade more so than with the others in the collection. I would say the base in this one is also the most sheer from the collection too, where even on 3 coats you can see a considerable amount of nail line. It might not look the most obvious when you're looking at it under a direct light source like how I have at my desk, but in the skittle portion hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean, where you just see more nail line with it. And rounding out the collection, we have Nacho Average Polish, and this one is obviously inspired by some nachos, and it's described as a medium brown with a nacho cheese shimmer. So unfortunately, this one was my least favorite from the collection. I just don't love this shade of brown. I feel like it's a little too yellow leaning on me, but maybe it's just the yellow shimmer pulling that way. So personally, I just don't find it super flattering, but this one did have an amazing formula where I would say it was maybe one of the best ones from the collection. They all obviously did apply really smoothly and evenly, but I found that this one was just a lot more pigmented, so even on the first coat you just get really nice coverage, and I just left it at 2 coats. Maybe there's a hint of nail line, but I don't think you need a third. So here is the collection worn as a skittle in direct sunlight, and I actually really like how these colors look together. They're just so dainty and pretty, and even though I don't love the brown, I feel like it still fits in with these, especially next to the yellow. But yeah, hopefully you can see what I mean about just how sheer the yellow looks, especially more so than the blue, which I would consider the lightest shade since it's the closest to white. But I think because of the shimmer particle in the blue, it just kind of obscures the nail line a little bit more. Now moving on to comparisons, we're starting with your one in a melon, and I wanted to show this next to Playing Hard to Get, which was from the Valentine's Day collection. I would say this is the closest pink that Nailpollies has done before, but as you can see, it's a totally different finish and even a little bit lighter too. So the closest that I have to a potential dupe would be Cracked Polish's Feed Me Treats, which is another very light baby pink that's filled with this super dainty shimmer, but as I'm sure you can see, the shimmer in Cracked Polish stands out a little bit more because it's a brighter and also slightly darker blue. In the bottle, you can see that one in a melon looks like it has a dainty blue shimmer, but I think on the nail, it just picks up a little bit more silver. And even aside from the shimmer color, the base color is also a little bit different, where maybe one in a melon is a bit warmer and also a little bit more white based, but I would say that it's a bit more opaque too. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I do think that there's a little bit more pigmentation in the base in Nailpollies versus Cracked. Then for I See What You Did There, I wanted to show this next to Squeeze the Day, which was a previous Nailpollies. I just have the mini bottle version. It's the only other super light blue kind of shade, but that one's just a little bit more minty. So I thought if I layered a shimmer over it, I could maybe recreate it, but as you can see, this did not work. I first tried using Alchemy's Champ, but it's just a little too vibrant of a blue. It made the shimmer in I See What You Did There look almost yellowy, so then I thought to use Holo Taco's Halogen Glow, but that's just a little too warm. At first, I thought the shimmer in I See What You Did There was just a silver, but it almost looks minty. Then for What's Poppin', I wanted to show this next to Suns Out, Buns Out from the somewhat recent Backyard Barbecue collection. I thought on the first coat What's Poppin' had a little bit of a nudish color, but you can very much tell that it is yellow next to how beige Suns Out, Buns Out is. I think the closest to a buttery yellow that Nailpollies has done before was with Taco Chance on Me, but obviously that has a totally different finish, being acrylic, and again, it's just a little too light, so definitely not dupes. I think they would pair well together though, but I think the closest, or at least the one that it reminded me of the most, was Mooncat's Demeter's Harvest, which is a yellow with a green shimmer, but as you can see, these are also just not dupes. Mooncat's is more of a brighter, almost primary yellow, and the green shimmer isn't as green. And lastly, for Nacho Average Polish, I thought the closest Nailpollies that I had to this was Churr All I Need, because it's another brown with this yellowy golden shimmer, but as you can see, they are also not dupes. Churr All I Need is a much warmer, almost like cinnamon brown. So I guess Nacho Average Polish has a little bit more of a neutral tone, but I don't know, I just can't help but feel like it pulls more yellow. I would say that the shimmer is almost the same too. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for Nailpollies Movie Night Collection. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts on this release because I feel a little conflicted. Obviously, it's just going off of my personal preference. Quality-wise, these are still very much on par with other Nailpollies formulas. But yeah, I just don't love the entire collection as much as I thought that I would. Not really much of a nacho person to begin with, and I definitely wouldn't consider them like a movie kind of snack. I really don't know if they're available like in movie theaters or if it's more of, you know, making them at home or something. I mean, obviously, I do love a cute little movie night, whether it's going out or staying in. Ryan and I actually went to the movies just recently this past weekend to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was a fun movie, you know, definitely very like bro humor. You know, at some points I'm like rolling my eyes, but still fun. I love the act of like going to the movies, getting popcorn, getting an icy. I'm not much of a candy person myself, but if anything, I'll get the occasional snow caps. So in theory, I love the like idea of this collection, but you know, it's just not really like speaking to me personally. I'm just not the biggest fan of like, maybe more so the finishes of these, because obviously color wise, I'm a fan of these colors. They almost kind of give me ice cream vibes too, with like how soft and dainty they are, but there's something about them that I still just like don't love for some reason. I can't put my finger on what it is, and that kind of just drives me mad because I wish I could tell you more as to why I'm not loving them, but it's just like a weird thing, you know? Like, they're cute, but maybe they're just not for me. If you think these are for you and you want to pick these up, as a reminder, I am an affiliate with Nailpollies, so if you do want to shop them while supporting me and my channel, you can shop through the link in my description box down below. As always, a big thank you to all of you who do support me through that, but either way, I hope you like this video, especially if you found the comparisons helpful. Make sure to leave me any and all thoughts you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!